In this video, I want us to listen to Jeremiah Kioni, who has this evening dropped a bombshell on the KDF air crash that has claimed the life of General Ogola. Listen to this before we continue.
The very sad and tragic death of General Francis Omondi Ogola, a fine general who has served to secure us from external aggression as Kenyans for a period of over 42 years, reminds me of statements that have been issued in the recent past of Mambo ni Matatu, a very unfortunate statement. A statement that he tried to overthrow my win, and we still await an explanation as to what that meant. It reminds me of the death of Tom Mboya, of the death of Honorable Robert Ouko, the death of Othiambo Bai, Dr. Othiambo Bai, the death of Chris Musando, the death of Jacob Juma. It reminds me of the death of over 70 young Luo men who were killed last year during demonstrations for the sole reason that they said that their sufurias were empty. The cost of living is unbearable. It reminds me of the attempted killing of the former Prime Minister, Raila Amolo Odinga. And this brings us to a situation where we must ask ourselves some very difficult questions and a very difficult conversation that we must have as a country. This is a very high price for one tribe in Kenya, the Ruo community, to pay. It's a time to say enough is enough.
The remarks by Jeremiah Kioni are self-explanatory. And if you look at those remarks very objectively, then you are seeing a sinister plot against a particular community. And when I say that, I'm not taking sides. If only you analyze things diligently, there is a clear plan and a plot against a specific community. I want us to put those remarks into perspective, but before we do that, let's remind ourselves briefly of what William Ruto said last year.
I appointed General Ogola. General Ogola is among the people who went to bomb us to try and overturn my victory. Do you know that? But because when I looked at his CV, he was the best person to be general. I called him and I sat him down. I told him, my friend, you went to bomb us to try and overturn my victory. But because you are the best person to be general, I'm going to give you the job. That is how it works with me. That's why I told you, if a person has the qualification, if he is the best for the job, I will give him the job.
But that is the military. There's a code of conduct for the military and how politics works in Kenya, Mr. President.
Let me tell you, my friend, I had the opportunity. I could have appointed anybody. I had, I think, 10 choices. I didn't have to. You know, there are people who say, oh, you know, William Ruto appointed Ogola because he was the deputy CDF. That's not the case. I made the decision consciously. And I made the decision against the advice of many people. Many people told me, you should not give this, you should not reward this kind of behavior.
Okay.
That was William Ruto speaking last year. And listening to William Ruto speak, he was clearly lying to Kenyans that he had an option of either appointing Ogola or rejecting Ogola. That was an open lie because according to the Tonje rules, the CDF rotates between the Kenya Army, Kenya Navy, and the Air Force. It was the time for the Air Force to produce the CDF. Ruto's hands were tied. So there William Ruto was just lying to Kenyans in broad daylight. We know that Ogola's predecessor, Kibochi, was from the Kenya Army, and Kibochi's predecessor was from the Kenya Navy. So it was the turn of the Kenya Air Force to produce the CDF, and Ogola was the senior most Air Force officer. Let's now put those remarks made by Kioni and William Ruto into perspective. If you are watching us but you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, give this video a like. Let's proceed. Listening to Kioni is just stating facts as they are. We are Kenyans. We are not visitors here. We've been here for quite some times, and we can tie the dots to understand what might be happening behind the scenes. Ojode went, Saitoti went, Musando went, Jacob Juma went. If you compare all those deaths to now Ogola's death, there are some valid questions that Kenyans are asking. There is some kind of mystery surrounding their deaths. Their deaths are not coming out as normal deaths. Ogola's death is not coming out as a normal death because William Ruto himself, as the president, confirmed in broad daylight that Ogola wanted to turn his victory and that his inner circle never wanted him to appoint Ogola as the CDF. That in itself confirms that there might have been some forces in government who were against Ogola's serving as the CDF. There is no doubt about that. And a few hours ago, we did analyze a video where Babu Owino was also asking some 11 questions. And the questions we did analyze in our earlier video. So Ogola's death to me is coming out as not a normal death. So many questions need to be answered. And the mere fact that William Ruto came out in public to make those remarks, for Kenyans to believe any investigation that is going to take place, the first person, in my honest opinion, who should be a person of interest is none other than William Ruto. Let him come out to clarify whether he had some grudges or some issues with Ogola. That does not mean he is guilty or part of what happened, but let him just come out and clarify things. That video of him saying Ogola wanted to overturn his win, that video has been going viral, and Kenya seems to be also asking so many questions. It all boils down again to the issue of integrity. A majority of Kenyans don't just trust Ruto or the Kenya Kwanza government. So should anything happen, so many speculations do fly around because Kenyans don't trust Ruto. And that's why it's important that before you elect a leader, Kenyans should elect leaders of integrity, leaders who can be trusted by the people. Yes, Kenyans should consider integrity. If Kenyans did consider integrity, questions could have not been asked as to what might have happened. Kenyans could have just trusted what the government said. But now, because Kenyans don't trust the government, they also don't believe what the government is saying. And that brings me to these leaders supporting Kenya Kwanza government. We have been seeing some leaders actively supporting Ruto's government. This is another moment the Luo nation is mourning. The leaders supporting the government, we are not seeing them mourning with the Luo community. They are silent and not even asking the hard questions that they should be asking. They are comfortable in government and they are silent. Anytime the Luo nation is faced with a crisis, these so-called saviors, these Luo saviors in government are always not being seen. When things cool down, that's when that's when now they come to tell the people that they care about the interests of the Luo community. As I conclude, it's high time the Luo nation should wake up. And just as I've been saying in this forum, any person working with Kenya Kwanza government, that's a person who should be rejected per se. They should not be entertained. Let me stop it there, ladies and gentlemen. Just as I did indicate, if you are watching us but you have not yet subscribed, subscribe, give this video a like. Those watching us outside Kenya, drop a comment, let us know from which part of the globe you are watching us from. If possible, subscribe, give the video a like. Thank you. God bless you.